watched a movie today, and as soon as I finished it, I thought to myself, well, that was some bullshit. It's called Kimi. You can watch it on HBO Max. It is starring Zoe Kravitz. And if you'd like to know exactly what I thought of Kimi, then let's go. Okay, so Kimmy is basically about a tech worker played by Zoe Kravitz. She's got agoraphobia. And she discovers while she's working from home recorded evidence of a violent crime. But she's met with resistance when she tries to report these crimes. Seeking justice, she must do the thing she fears the most. She must leave her apartment. So this one came out on HBO Max on February 10th, and it's directed by Steven Soderbergh. Now, you might remember Steven Soderbergh for winning an Academy Award for Traffic. I think that was back in 2000. But he also did Sex, Lies, and Videotape. He also did Erin Brockovich. So he's got some big movies under his belt. How did he fare with this here movie? Let's talk about it. I'm going to start it off by giving you just a little bit of background. The main character in this movie, again, is Zoe Kravitz's Angela Childs. Angela suffers from agoraphobia, and when you know it, she's right smack dab in the middle of the COVID pandemic. And if you know me, you would see that I kind of have a few parallels with that. I'm kind of agoraphobic. We still dealing with COVID. So I saw a lot of myself in the character initially. The literal breakdown that she has at the absolute thought of going out of her house. That was something I could relate to. Watching her have to medicate herself to keep herself from going into one of those anxiety attacks. It really did ring true. So well played, Zoe, because you had it down pat. The way that your body responds to the thought of going out in public amongst other people, she nailed it. So that was one thing I felt like initially we got right. As we learned from the film's description, Angela is a work from home kind of techie, and what she's working on is a device called Kimi, and it will kind of make you think of the devices that we have in our homes. And I've refused to say the name because it's just going to make these devices start talking. One of the devices that I don't have is like a Siri or a Google Home device. And then there's that other one, the big one. That's what I have. Well, what she's doing is, I guess, translating for the device when somebody says or does something that the device doesn't understand. She translates for the device so that the next time that command is given, there is no question about what the user means. So, for instance, suppose I want to hear the song Me by Taylor Swift. When you say that to one of these smart devices, it gets real dumb on you real quick. So then what Angela Childs does, and from her home, is make sure that you know that there's actually a song, Kimmy. There's a song called Me, and that's what this person is asking you to play. I'm not telling you to play me. You can't play me, but you can play me. You find them, you feel, you getting, I know you get me. So Angela types in the commands that will make the device understand that the next time it is asked. So yeah, not only are we dealing with agoraphobia, not only are we dealing with a little paranoia, we're also dealing with these devices and the fear that the device is listening to every single thing that goes on in your home, like all the time. I guess in another world, it would give you Black Mirror vibes. So you feel like this tech is something that improves your life in so many ways. But then there are ways that it interferes with the way that we live. It makes me ask the question, is convenience worth intrusion? And in some cases, you'll feel like, oh, yeah, because I know how I can manipulate this device so that it's not listening all the time. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, if we think we're that smart, how do we know that the person who created this device did not create a failsafe so that if we were trying to turn it off in a way, it would still get certain buzzwords? And in a way, I guess that would be another convenience, because if somebody came into my home and attacked me, then I should want to be able to say, hey, you know who? Call 911 so that, hands free, I can still get help. That might be the difference between a person coming and attacking you in your home to hearing that you've got this device and running away. So yeah, it's like I said, it's kind of a Black Mirror type of dilemma. Okay, so while managing these streams that are coming through and making the corrections that need to be made, Angela runs across what sounds to her like a crime being committed against a woman. And it troubles her. It troubles her so much that she calls Amygdala, which is the name of the company that she works for. She wants to speak to somebody who can give her a little guidance on how to deal with this type of situation. The name of the company is a little on the nose because we know that the amygdala is a portion of our brain that one of its main functions is to process threats and kind of like that fear stimuli that we get. Kind of fight or fight or flight, fight or flight. So it's kind of like it regulates our fight or flight response. Now, I'm not going to spoil an awful lot of this movie because, you might want to check it out. But I will share this part because it kind of informs us as to Angela's kind of unselfish nature. Angela has a toothache. And like, I haven't experienced a toothache in a very long time, but I have heard grown men whimper at the thought of having a toothache, much less having one that got to the point where you need some type of antibiotic or something to kind of counter this throbbing pain. Well, I can't imagine a person choosing to sit through a toothache. But that's exactly what Angela does. She has a toothache. She tries to FaceTime the dentist to get her antibiotics and painkillers. He says, I won't send you any painkillers, but I will send you the antibiotic, which means that she is going to just have to deal with the pain simply because she refuses to leave the house. She leaves her house when it came to helping this woman whose stream that she kind of intercepted during her doing her job. But she won't leave to hook up with the guy that she's kind of been banging that lives across the street. She won't leave to get her own tooth fixed. She won't leave to see her mother. So, for an unselfish purpose, Angela has left the house. So it's just giving us a little bit more of an indication of what type of person Angela is. So the action occurs when Angela finally does leave the house because she wants to go down to the amygdala headquarters where she can speak to somebody about getting the FBI involved in what she discovered in this stream. Unfortunately, nobody wants to help her. In fact, she becomes the target of some shady individuals, and that is when her fight or flight jumps into action. We see the flight and we see the fight. Now, while this all sounds like a wonderful premise and it sounds like it would make a great action packed movie, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Just like a day in my life, this movie traipses along almost at a snail's pace until we get to the end and then things start happening. But it was kind of hard to keep me drawn in before the action started. It was pretty much like watching myself do a lot of nothing around the house. Now, to be fair, if I gotta be agoraphobic, I would have much rather be agoraphobic in her apartment than in my apartment. Her shit was sprawling and spaced out and beautifully decorated. It was just beautiful. Her apartment was beautiful, and mine is mine. Now, when Angela finally does start moving around in the real world, she did move like a person who is processing their anxieties and also trying to convince themselves that the threats that they have convinced themselves exist out in the open, that it's all in her mind. She moved like a person who was trying to get their bearings so that they could help someone else. I thought that was an excellent facet of the Angela character. And it was played very well again by Zoe Kravitz. But while it was relatable, that still didn't make it entertaining. Some of the ideas presented by this film were very ambitious. The tech side of things, the mental health aspects, showing that a person with this type of mental illness can look like they have it all together. And when you only find out that this person has the struggles that they have when it's time to walk out the door. The ideas were solid. So I wouldn't call this a total waste of time. It was decent. A lot of it is predictable. I guess this one is kind of divisive as the critics kind of liked it far more than regular audiences did. The critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave this thing a 94%, whereas the audience actually said, no, we're almost split on this thing. It was 53% of the audience liked it, thought it was fresh. On my regular star rating for this film, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, and that is because while the premise is extremely intriguing, they just took too much time easing us through the day of an agoraphobic person, which let me tell you, depending on the person, is really not that exciting. It took a lot of time to get to the action. And while this movie had so much upside based on the premise, it kind of lacked in execution. Now, while I wasn't crazy about the film, doesn't mean that you won't be. So if you had a different or similar experience to me, please let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, if you've not yet done so, do me the honor of hitting the subscribe button to turn your notifications on so you will know the next time I drop a video or go live, because I do that kind of often too. With all that being said, I've got nothing else, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.